Hi artists, so for this week's project you are going to need a piece of your watercolor paper, which is the creamy paper. It's thicker. So this is the drawing paper that we normally use and this is the watercolor paper. You're also going to need a pencil, a Post-it or something square or rectangular to trace, and your cup of water, paintbrush, and your paints. We're only going to use half of the watercolor paper. So you're going to fold it in half. Where the line is, you're going to use scissors or have an adult help you, and you're going to cut it on the line. And now we have two pieces of watercolor paper. So use one, save the other one for next week. You can use anything that is square or rectangular. So just with this Post-it, I'm gonna trace it, just the square. Okay, and then I'm gonna lay it over top of one of them. So see how this square's over top of that one? Trace it again. Let's do it. And remember, you don't have to make yours look just like mine, but you see on here, I have the square go off the paper. That's okay. And it actually makes it more interesting to have stuff go off the paper sometimes. Let's do one more down here. And then I'm going to make a rectangle out of the Post-it, and we're going to trace that. Now do you see I folded this Post-it in half and now it's a rectangle. So then I can take and trace this rectangle. Oops. And remember, it doesn't matter if you mess up because you have an eraser. Okay, we can make our rectangle go this way. And let's just do one more right here. Okay, so now I have this cool design like Mondrian would do. You could hold it this way, you could hold it this way, doesn't matter. Okay, so now we have to plan which parts are going to be what color. And if you remember in his, he only has part of something, so this would all be blue, okay? Just this square right here would be blue. And then this one here could be red, and this over here could be yellow. Okay, so I'm just gonna start, and I'm not gonna paint colors right next to each other, okay? Because a lot of his paintings were mostly white. So we're gonna kind of work with that and keep it simple. And I'm gonna start with the blue one. So the best that you can, you're gonna paint inside that square. If you mess up, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna show you a trick at the end. So to do stuff like this, that you're trying to paint inside the lines, it takes a little bit of time. And it's even taking me some time to paint the whole thing in. Okay, so now that one's blue. We're gonna rinse the brush, dry it off, and then decide where we're gonna make a red one. Again, take your time. If you mess up, it's okay. And remember, for this one, you don't need that much paint, okay? It's mostly white with a little bit of color. We're not going for one of his complicated ones. We're going for one of the ones that were, that he did in the beginning of when he went abstract. Okay, and then let's pick our yellow one, which is going to be right here. You see how I'm painting? I'm outlining it first with the paint, and then I go in and fill it in. Okay. Okay, so now I finished painting. I'm gonna let it dry, but I'm looking at it and I think it needs another red somewhere, and I don't want them to touch each other. So I'm gonna change this line here, and we're gonna add this and make this square red. So I went back and as I worked on it, I looked at it to see how I liked the way the colors were and where they were. So now that I thought about it, I went back in and added this. Okay, and now I'm gonna let this dry. And the best place to let it dry, the fastest place to let it dry is in the sun. So if you look here, my painting is dry, but I have a little wiggly line there, a little bit of yellow that comes outside the lines here. You may have more, you may have none, but here's our last step, and it's optional. If your adult at home doesn't like you to use a Sharpie, that is fine. You can use any markers you have. So if you remember from the slides that I showed you, his artwork had a lot of black lines in it. And some were thick and some were thin. So where it's all wonky, you can make your line bigger and then color it in. And then you can't even tell that the paint moved. And the same up here. I'm actually going to make that line longer now. If you're having trouble tracing, or if you're having trouble drawing straight lines, you can always take your Post-it or your paper back and trace it. And then you'll definitely have a straight line. I'm okay at just drawing without having anything to trace, but I'm sure that you guys could use some help making your lines straight. Oops, and that one I messed up, so now I'm going to make it a lot bigger than I was planning on it. And again, I am working with a mistake. Okay, there we go. Okay, and that, oops, forgot something. Last two lines. And this is our finished Mondrian. Okay, give it a try, have fun. I will talk to you soon.